My girlfriend laughed. "You're not my dad. I can talk to whoever I want." Then I replied, "You're right." Then I started talking to whoever I wanted. 2. Starting with her sister. Her reaction at the next party was priceless. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, let me be clear. Her sister, Madison, is older than her, 26, smart as hell, gorgeous, and actually treats people with respect, which was something I didn't realize I'd been starving for until the night everything shifted. But let me back up because you need the whole picture to understand why that single sentence from my girlfriend, Lily, hit me like a brick, and why my calm reply was the quiet start of something she never expected. When Lily and I got together, it felt easy, playful, exciting in a way I hadn't experienced in years. She was spontaneous, confident, magnetic, the kind of woman who filled every room with noise and color the second she stepped inside. And I was drawn to it, that fast, chaotic energy, the kind that makes you feel alive but also a little dizzy. At first it seemed charming that she always had people around her, always texting, always laughing at something someone said. I didn't mind it because I wasn't insecure, and I never wanted to be the controlling type. I've always believed in freedom in relationships, but freedom doesn't mean disrespect. I didn't realize how blurred her definition of freedom actually was. Little by little, the red flag showed up disguised as jokes, as comments brushed off with a laugh, as, "You're overthinking it." Every time I asked about messages that felt a little too familiar, a little too flirty. She had this habit of tossing boundaries aside like they were optional suggestions. And whenever I tried to talk about how something made me uncomfortable, she'd deflect the whole thing with that same smug tone. "Relax. You're being dramatic." Or worse, "You're not my dad." And I'd let it go more often than I should have, telling myself not to start argument after argument over things she claimed were harmless. Until the night that stupid line came out again with full force, in front of a group of people, too loud, too sharp, and too dismissive. We were at a friend's birthday party. Music blasting, drinks flowing, people dancing in the living room like it was a college reunion, and Lily was all over the place, laughing, chatting, touching arms, leaning close to guys she called just friends, and I tried to ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. I wasn't jealous. I was tired of explaining the same thing, tired of being the only one in the relationship showing restraint, tired of being told I was controlling when all I wanted was basic respect. She was scrolling through her phone, giggling every time a certain guy messaged, and eventually I asked, "Who's that?" Not accusingly, just normal, curious, calm. She didn't even look up from her phone. Instead, she smirked, tossed her hair, and said it louder than usual, almost as if she wanted people around us to hear. "You're not my dad. I can talk to whoever I want." The embarrassment hit me before the anger. It was the dismissiveness, the public humiliation, the way she said it like she was taunting me, daring me to react. But I didn't give her the satisfaction. I just looked at her, letting the moment stretch, letting the weight of everything she'd done settle inside me. Then I said, quiet, steady, "You're right." And something in her expression flickered. Not guilt, not regret, but confusion. She expected a fight. She always expected a fight. But when I didn't react, she didn't know what to do with that. Something in me snapped, but not in an explosive way. It was like a switch flipping, a calm letting go, a quiet acceptance that if she wanted to live like she was single, then I didn't owe her the loyalty of someone in a committed relationship where only one partner was actually committed. I drove her home that night, silent, letting her fill the air with excuses, jokes, half-hearted reassurances that meant nothing. She kept saying she didn't mean it like that. But I already knew better. I dropped her off, kissed her forehead out of habit more than desire, and said goodnight. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I stopped caring about her expectations. The next day, after a night of thinking, I texted Madison, her older sister, not romantically, not flirtatiously, just a simple, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while." And she replied, immediately warm, kind, like she always was. Over time, I'd actually liked Madison more than I realized. Not romantically at first, just as a person. She had this grounding presence Lily never had. She listened. She wasn't chaotic. She didn't play games. At family dinners, she always made sure everyone felt comfortable, including me. She once pulled me aside and quietly asked if Lily ever made me feel disrespected because she noticed patterns long before I admitted them to myself. People always say siblings are similar. Not in this case. Talking to her felt like breathing after being underwater too long. We talked about work, hobbies, stupid movies we both liked, and nothing inappropriate ever happened. It was just connection. Genuine, calm connection. The kind I'd been missing in my own relationship. Then came the night of the next big gathering. Her cousin's engagement party. Everyone would be there, including Lily and Madison. I wasn't planning anything dramatic. I genuinely wasn't out for revenge. I just wasn't going to shrink myself anymore or tiptoe around Lily's insecurity disguised as confidence. I arrived in a clean blazer, feeling better about myself than I had in months, and I had every intention of just being civil. But then Madison walked in and smiled at me with that gentle, sincere smile that hits you right in the chest because it feels like safety, not chaos. She came over, hugged me, and said she was glad I was there. And that tiny moment, that simple human warmth, was enough for people around us to glance, whisper, wonder. Then Lily walked in, and the second her eyes found me standing with her sister, her expression cracked. Just for a moment, but I saw it. Panic. Confusion. A flash of jealousy she'd never admit out loud. She walked over fast. Too fast, pretending not to seem bothered. "Oh," she said with that brittle smile. "You two came together?" Madison laughed lightly, oblivious to the tension. "No, we just got here around the same time. But I haven't seen him in ages, so we were catching up." Lily nodded, tight-lipped, eyes darting between us like she was calculating something. For once, she didn't have a snarky comment. Nothing like "you're not my dad." Nothing like "relax." Nothing like "you're dramatic." Just a silent staring match. She kept losing every second Madison, and I talked easily, naturally, like two adults respecting each other. As the night went on, the energy shifted. People noticed Lily's irritation, her constant attempt to interrupt conversations, her subtle pulling on my arm like she wanted ownership over me despite never giving me the same. At one point, she whispered harshly, "What are you doing?" And I replied evenly, "Talking. Isn't that allowed?" Her face twisted. The exact moment she realized I had taken her own rule, her precious freedom, and applied it to myself. I didn't flirt. I didn't cross lines. But I also didn't let her dictate who I could talk to. And that bothered her more than anything else. By the end of the night, she was visibly flustered, her attempts to laugh and appear unaffected falling apart every time Madison and I exchanged a normal human conversation. She finally snapped in the hallway near the bathroom, grabbing my arm and hissing, "Why are you acting like this?" And I said, "Like what?" "Like you don't care," she spat. I looked at her, calm, genuinely calm, and said, "You told me you wanted to talk to whoever you want. I'm giving you the same freedom." Her face fell, hard, because she knew I wasn't wrong. She knew she had pushed those boundaries over and over while expecting me to stay loyal, quiet, and waiting in the background for scraps of respect. She stormed off after that, trying to make a scene elsewhere, but everyone saw the crack in her armor. Everyone saw the insecurity she'd been hiding behind loudness and laughter. She left early. Madison apologized on her behalf even though she didn't need to, and she hugged me before I left, telling me to take care of myself. And that hug, warm, steady, comforting, made something unbelievably clear. I had been drowning in drama, confusion, disrespect for months, and this tiny moment of real connection showed me exactly what I'd been missing. Over the next week, Lily tried to fix things through half apologies and deflections, but something in me had already shifted. Once you taste peace after chaos, you can't pretend chaos is normal anymore. We broke up, quietly, no yelling, no drama, just a simple acknowledgement that we were completely incompatible. She tried to blame me, accuse me of humiliating her, claim I was flirting with her sister. But the truth was simpler and far less dramatic. I just stopped tolerating disrespect. Months later, when everything was behind us, Madison and I crossed paths again. This time as two adults with no weird tension and no shared obligation. And this time, something truly real started between us. No chaos, no games, no drama, just respect, just connection. Just two people who finally found clarity after years of living in someone else's storm. And to this day, I still think back to that one moment. Lily laughing in my face. You're not my dad. I can talk to whoever I want. She was right, and so was I.